All right, it's 8 o'clock. All right, we're going to get this party started. Welcome in, everybody. This is a Morales Outdoors TikTok Live podcast. We have Bear Proof Guide and Bear Proof Wife with us today, Aaron and Nikki. Welcome, guys. I appreciate you guys accepting the invite and coming to do this. You did say that tonight was the opener for the youth hunt. Is that
Yep.
was?
Yep.
Did you get to go out and do some of that hunting?
Yeah. We hunted the beginning part of the day. I let the kids sleep in. Yesterday was her birthday, so I let her take the day off from school. It's kind of a main tradition, at least around in these parts. Teacher asked the class how many kids would be gone for youth day, and half the class raised their hands. So
Yep.
it's it's kind of a big thing around here in Maine, taking the kids hunting. And I don't try to make it like a real big thing for her. She's not as into it as I was as a kid. Like I was raring to go, man. I wanted to shoot that gun. I wanted to get my hands dirty and I don't know. The boy was kind of like that, but at the same time, he just didn't really have that huge drive either. So I kind of go on how hard the kid wants to go. If they really want to go, we're really gonna go. And if they're kind of, then we're kind of the same way.
Right. Exactly.
I try to keep it fun. So like one of the things that I remember as a kid was my father waking me up real early, and it being dark and walking out in the middle of the woods. You can't see nothing, and then you got to sit there on a tree for an hour in the dark and the cold, and wait for things to get light, and it's just one of the ways that I didn't want to teach my kids how to hunt. You know what I mean? Like as they got older, we started doing that stuff. You know what I mean? As my boy got older, him and I started going out early in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, climb up in that tree stand. And as he, hit, like 15, 16, he really got that drive. Yep. He got his first year at 16. Yep. And she got her first year at 11. So they've been there and done it. They've gotten to experience it. That picture I sent you with the deer, there was 4 deer in the picture, and
Yeah.
my father.
That was a sick picture.
Yeah.
They would not let me post none of that stuff, dude. I've tried it before,
Yep.
and I just tried it again. And then, like, when I did all of them, I would, like, take a picture out and then post it again. And then I'd take a couple pictures out. It let me do the turkey ones. It let me do some of the duck ones. But
Yep.
anything with the moose or deer, it would not have it. I mean, it don't make sense.
No, it really doesn't. But so with the oh geez, where was I there?
God, what
Oh yeah,
they're getting.
yeah. So that picture of the 4 deer, that was all one morning. We'd come back from the moose hunt. My father had he'd harvested a 849-pound bull, his first moose. We'd been on many moose hunts, 4 different moose hunts together in our life, and we're batting 1,000 when it comes to moose. We always come home with a moose, it seems like, and right after that, that was the first season that I'd had kidney stones. So it was kind of like one of those inner instincts that I had, that we really needed to hunt, needed to put in as much meat as we could, because I didn't know how the kidney stones were going to treat me. I didn't know if I was going to be able to keep hunting like I did. I knew I was strong enough that year to keep hunting. So we harvested 9 deer that season. And,
Oh, dang.
4 of them were all in one day. Yeah. And we literally walked up into the woods, my daughter, my boy, my father, and there's this spot where my grandfather harvested his last deer, and it's a real special spot to me, And as we were sneaking our way up through there, we jumped a little spike buck twice, and the second time it stuck around just long enough for the little girl to put one on him, and she made a beautiful shot. The deer only went 60 yards and crashed, and
That's awesome.
so her and I came back to the house to get the deer cart, and we left my son, who was 16, old enough to be hunting by himself, with his grandfather, my father, and I said, "All right, you guys go to your spots, and we'll be back with the deer cart." Yo, Wardrump, what's happening? And we came back, and one of my lobsterman buddies, big dude, real big dude, he he was late for the hunt that morning, and I'm telling him, "Oh, we already got one down," you know. And I hear shots on the ridge because we were hunting that morning. And it's only about 1.5 miles from my house as the crow flies. And I'm telling the wife, "We gotta go, we gotta go." I'm messaging my buddy, "Hurry up, get over here." I got the deer cart all loaded up. He shows up. More shots go off on the ridge, and I'm like, "Oh my god, we gotta go." So we get up there, and we go past her deer, and he said, "Well, we know where this one is. We know it ain't going nowhere. Fishing with rod in the house, fishing with rod in the gifts. Let's go, brother." And so I said, let's go find Cameron. So we go a little bit further, and there's Cameron, and he's all white as a ghost, and he's all slipping up, you know, and he came from this way, and he went off that way, and then he came back, and then he went over there. And I said, all right. I said, let's go make sure your grandfather's doing all right, because he's the furthest one back. And we go back there, and he's got deer stretched out. He had a doe laying down,
Yep.
and he had a big 10-pointer right behind her. And the story was the doe came out first. He flattened the doe right where she was, and a smaller buck came out, and he just up and fired on the smaller buck. It was like a 6-pointer, and he missed. The deer didn't even react to the shot. The deer just kind of skipped across the road and was headed right for the boy. And he said, "Oh, headed for Cameron. All right, just let him go." So he hears Cameron open up, and he's like, "Oh yeah, there we go," you know. Then the dust kind of settled there for a minute, and there's about a 5-minute pause, and a big old 10-pointer comes out. And he goes right to his doe, and it starts goring the doe with his antlers, trying to pick her back up. You know?
Yeah.
And he's trying to breed her. And my father put him down right on top of her. And he
That is insane.
Made like a small circle in that little swamp that piled up behind her. So we luckily had hands enough. You know, my daughter, my boy, my wife, my buddy, my father. We started going to work. We got the doe and the buck cleaned out. And then we dragged them back. And we tried to figure out what happened with Cameron's deer. And Cameron's telling me, he says, all of a sudden, I heard a shot, and I look up, and here comes this buck, and he's coming right to me. So he said he put one shot downrange, and the deer didn't react. He put another shot downrange, and the deer, he thought, reacted. And the deer took off running away from him. He said he watched the deer stop, turn around, and came right back to him. And on the way back to him, he put another shot. That time, he hit him right square in the chest.
Right.
And the deer kind of turned, and he knew he hit him that time because of the way the deer mule kicked. It gave that big donkey kick, you know.
Yep.
His legs go up high.
Yep.
And his nose almost touched the ground. He almost piled up, but he kind of went off and stopped behind the tree. Right where he stopped, he gave the boy a perfect broadside shot. So he put one on his shoulder. The deer kind of took off. That one only went 60 yards too. That one piled up probably about 80 yards away from where the little girl's first piled up.
That's cool.
So it was quite the morning.
Hell yeah, that was, dude. And that picture was epic. That was a sick picture. That was the one with all them deer piled up right there, and that was the entire family then right there, basically. Yep. Well, not the entire, but
yeah,
all. That was badass.
3 generations of deer hunting.
Nikki?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't see her in the picture.
Yeah.
Oh, Connor, nice to meet you. Turkey.
Nice.
What's up, Pimp Daddy?
Congratulations,
in the house. Mainly.
What's
he
that?
Was that mainly that did that one freaking video, dude? Oh my god, the one where he was like, "Hey, can you want to go fishing or something?" He's like, "Yeah." Was that his video?
I haven't been on top of the videos lately.
There's 2 guys on TikTok, mainly and another guy, and they kind of look similar. So I don't know if it was him or what, but yeah, that's his, dude. Bro, I love that video so much. It was freaking hilarious.
Yep.
But yeah.
No, man, he's a good dude. I like.
Yeah, he's cool. I like his videos. He's pretty slick. I like that.
Yep.
Let's talk about fishing a little bit.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I was only able to post a crap load of pictures of your fishing, but you do all sorts of fishing. I know you guys have lake trout as well out there, right?
Yes, sir.
So, have you ever guided for lake trout?
No, I have not.
You have not. Have you ever caught lake trout?
Yep. I caught lake trout twice. So I went once with my father when I was real young. There's a pond way up north that we had to snowmobile like 7 miles into, and we caught salmon there, and we caught splake, and we thought we were catching toad. Toad is the what we call the lake trout. You know, that's what we call them. Toad.
You call them splakes?
No, splake. So splake is actually a crossbreed. It's a hybrid. It's a cross between a brook trout and a lake trout.
Oh, no way! I never heard of that.
Yep. So that's one of the fish that we were catching that day. We thought we were catching lake trout, but my father had never really encountered splake before, so it was kind of a new deal for him. And the splake only have to be 14 inches to keep on that pond, whereas the toad would have to be 18 inches to keep. And every fish we caught that day was like 17 inches, 16 inches, 17 and a half, 17 and 3/4. So every fish went back. And I didn't like toad fishing at that point. I thought it was the most foolish type of fishing ever, you know? I'm like, what's the point in catching these fish if we can't keep them? And I was young. I had no idea what the lake trout fishery was.
Right.
And when I tested for the main guide for fishing, I had a hard time with the fishing test only because of the fact that it was geared all towards the cold water species. So they want to know your trolling speed. They want to know all about lead core, what you would use for spoons. They almost failed me on my fishing test. Yep, their exact words were, "You don't know shit about fishing." Yeah.
So there was a picture that you sent me. It was you laying in the ice with all them fish around you.
Yes, sir.
Were those a mixed bag of fish? Were they mainly pike? What was it?
Those were all northern pike in that picture. Yeah.
Okay. I was wondering, dude. They looked like pike, but I was like, those all cannot be pike.
Yeah. So that's from a pond where they do what's the right word? Unalive all derby. So
because they are invasive out here, right?
Yeah.
Because they're invasive here in New Hampshire as well.
Yep. Yeah. And our state doesn't want them in the waters at all. They were going as far as like trying to tell people that they can't release the fish back into the water, otherwise they'll get a ticket for stalking.
Wow.
Yeah, they couldn't get away with that because it's just too, way too far.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You pull it out the hole. I mean, there's too many guys now with cell phones and cameras, and
Yeah.
So they're really kind of touchy about it, but what Maine is starting to realize is we now have a trophy fish fishery that we never had before, and we should try to respect it just a little bit, So the pike fishing is like 50-50 here in Maine. A lot of people don't like it because they don't believe that pike can coexist with cold water species like trout, salmon, and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that they don't eat those species, because they will. They definitely will prey on them. But if you take a look at big lakes up in Canada, like Lake of the Woods, you've got every cold water species in there. You've got muskie, you've got pike, you've got toad, you've got salmon, you've got brown trout, brook trout. And not only that, but you have them in master class sizes, which is the biggest sizes that they grow to, right? So to say that they can't coexist is just foolish. People aren't doing the research. They don't know.
And I agree with you there too. Yep. Because Michigan is the same way. Michigan, we have a huge salmon and steelhead and trout and brown trout. We have and pike is a normal fish, pike, walleye. and they coexist perfectly fine, and the fish get huge.
Yep. And what it takes though is it takes a big body of water for those types of fish to coexist in. If they're just in a small pond, one species will.
Oh yeah, it's gonna. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And
for sure.
Our Belgrade lakes are just big enough that they can handle it, and we're starting to see it now. I mean, people are catching some really trophy-sized pike. They're catching trophy-sized bass between smallmouth and largemouth. I see a lot of 6 and 7 pound smallmouth bass being caught out of the Belgrade lakes, and I mean, a lot of guys, that's what they really like to catch is bass, you know.
Yeah.
And we still see trophy size trout coming out of those lakes too, you know.
Yeah. And you know, the whole bass craze, you know, it's developed from back when I was a kid in the 70s and 80s, you know, with these Bassmaster Classics. I mean, they televised bass fishing so much back in the day.
Bill Dance, man. I grew up watching Bill.
Oh, dude, yeah, exactly. all of those.
I wouldn't be the bass fisherman. I wouldn't be the fisherman that I am today if it wasn't for guys like Bill Dance, you know, putting in that work out there and
exactly.
getting not just the younger guys out there, but guys like my father into it. You know what I mean? Because my father was always a trout fisherman. We had amazing Atlantic salmon fishing here when he was my age, you know, or younger than me actually. And now we have you know. The Atlantic salmon are so few and far between that you can pretty much count them on your hands and feet.
Yeah. You know, and that's the thing too. With if it wasn't for Bill Dance and all of them back in the day, bro. I mean, they really not just bass fishing. They brought fishing period to the forefront. You know, with I mean, it started getting so big back. I remember in the 80s, and when they started, I mean, the infomercials. I mean, there was always infomercials. Then you started getting infomercials for the banjo minnows, for chatterbaits. I'm not chatterbaits. I'm sorry, the chatterbaits weren't even a thing back then.
Right.
But for you know, different style Rapalas and cranks and you know, stuff like that, man, that you never heard of. You know, and it just them promoting bass fishing just started getting all these infomercials, and it just brought fishing to the forefront. Period. But with them focusing on bass, everybody felt that bass was the fish to go, and that's why, you know, even now if you're going out bluegill fishing, somebody I want to see somebody catch bass. Everybody wants to see somebody catch bass.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And dude, I hadn't bass fished in so long. I mean, I did it bits here and there. Like I did some bass fishing in Texas, did some bass fishing in Oregon or something, you know. But I got out of bass fishing years ago. Once I started learning more about, because I started out with catfish. Right. I mean, Arizona, there's catfish everywhere because they stock all the city lakes with they're all man-made lakes and urban lakes all throughout the state of Arizona. So it was trout and catfish. Yeah, they had bass in there, they had bluegills. Nobody cared about that. Everybody was after catfish because there were so many of them in there. It was an easy fish to catch. Right. And that's what I typically went after. So I started out fishing with catfish. And then I learned about bass, and I started bass fishing. And once I started bass fishing, man, it was like no other. It was exciting for me. I bass fished. That's all I did was bass fish for years.
Yeah.
And then I started learning about, you know, trout, brown trout, you know, bluegills, crappie, you know, pike. I was like, wow, I never knew about all these fish. So I started learning about other fish, and I just stopped fishing for bass completely. And then I have not bass fished so much as I've been since I've been here in New Hampshire. It just, you know, it was just these lakes, man. They're just filled with smallmouth and largemouth bass everywhere you go. And I'll go out and I'll fish for one thing, and I'm catching bass all the time. I'm like, damn, I'm just going to start bass fishing.
That's the trouble with like southern Maine. Like most of southern Maine is all bass. Like we've got some trout ponds mixed in here and there, but for the most part, the bass just went nuts. Like, I don't know who it was that was the bucket biologist here that went around and put bass in every pond, but my God, they went a little
The
too
bass
big.
is worldwide, man. I mean, the Japanese and the Chinese are coming out with so many innovative ways to going after bass now, and one of the best bass fisheries in the world is Japan now. I mean, they're like now it's my goal to go to Japan to do some damn bass fishing.
Yep.
And I've never had a goal to go besides Alaska. I wanted to go, maybe Canada too. I wanted to do. I want to go to Canada for walleye for some reason. I mean, I can catch walleye anywhere, but I want to go. I want to go to Canada for walleye, and I want to go to Alaska for salmon. And it's just what I want to do. But
Sure.
and I want to do bass in Japan.
I want to go to Labrador for brook trout, and it feels foolish saying that as a Mainer, but Labrador has some of the best brook trout fishing in the world. I mean, monster brook trout. You're talking about brook trout so big that they're eating a deer mouse fly, a deer hair mouse fly. And that's like a bass fly. You know what I mean? And there's brook trout that are eating this 1.5 inch mouse that looks, it's all made out of deer hair. And
bro, I saw a big brook trout. I mean, not me personally, but I did see somebody catch a frick. I didn't know brook trout got that big, but this thing was like 5-6 pounds.
Oh yeah, right up here. If you want to catch a 5-6 pound brook trout, come up the main Moosehead Lake, you'll catch one. Yeah, fish 1 foot of water to 3 feet of water with a shiner or a smelt, and you'll definitely catch.
I didn't know they got that big. I thought I mean, I caught like a 12-inch brook trout one day, and I thought I had like a world record brook trout.
Yep.
That was Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, whoa,
Oh yeah. No, I got a brookie on the wall that's like 18 inches and like 5 pounds. My father caught underneath a leaning birch tree. He said, and it was in a foot of water, and everybody laughed at him. They said, "Yo, you're not gonna catch nothing in that shallow of water." And he sure enough caught that 5-pounder.
Heck
I've
yeah.
been looking at that fish my whole life, thinking, God, I'd love to catch one like that. I've caught probably 2 brook trout close to that size, and I've guided several people into catching some really big brookies. My wife caught one, a sea run brookie. A lot of people don't know that brook trout are sea run. So there's actually brook trout that run right up the ocean, right up our rivers, and spawn, And,
spawning like smelt.
Yep.
You ever do smelt dipping?
Oh yeah. Actually, we're kind of well known up here in Maine for our smelt slayers. We tie. You know what a mackerel tree is, right?
No, I don't.
All right. So a mackerel tree. Can you look on the porch real quick? See if we got any civickies. A mackerel tree is it's a rig that's it's got a main line that's like 20 pounds. And it's got like 5 droppers hanging off of it with little tiny flies, right?
Yep.
And usually you put like a heavy jig, like a 1/4 ounce, 1/2 ounce jig on it. And you cast it, and you catch Atlantic mackerel, and you'll get them like little pinkers, like 6 inches. You'll catch them all the way up to like big horse mackerel, like 1.5 feet or so. And we'll use those for striper bait, tuna bait, stuff like that.
Yep.
So when we started smelting, I grew up in smelt camps. My grandfather, on my mother's side, he ran Sunny Smelt Camps on the Kennebec River for a long time. Sunny Smelt Camps is one of the best camps to go to for catching smelt. And if you've never been to a smelt camp, they're these little ice shanty villages. Remember Grumpy Old Men?
Yeah.
Remember the little ice shanty village, right? So that's what a smelt camp looks like up here in Maine, and you'll see them on the rivers, on Kennebec River. I think there's a few others, like down in Brunswick. There's a few smelt camps, but he had a real nice protected cove on the river. It was just this real big cove, and when the ice would break and go down through, his cove would stay nice. It'd stay locked up, and he had a wicked good spot. But basically, you go in and you take a chainsaw and you cut out a race hole. Race hole is the length of the shack. Shack's usually about 8-10 feet long, and the race hole is about 8-10 inches wide. Some camps do them different. A couple of the ones that I like going to now, they cut it big enough to just put a 5-gallon bucket right down in the race hole.
Yeah.
So they got house line. House line's got a big weight and a little tiny hook, like number 8 snell hook, and you take a little piece of bloodworm and you put that on there. You bait it, you tip it, and you just drop that down, and you kind of stagger your lines from bottom to top, and you figure out where the smelts are running, and then you kind of set the lines for that area. That's the old school way. So the new school way was using a jig rod, and you just use a weight, and you use these sabiki rigs, right?
Yep, I'm familiar with those.
Yeah, so the sabiki rig,
Yep.
six hooks. The problem with them is this rig's like 6 feet long, right?
Yep.
So a lot of people would cut them in half, so that way they'd be able to clear the hole as they're jigging, right?
Yeah. And pull them out.
And I'm like, well, smelts run in a real tight school. Why not tie something shorter, right? It's like they want them 3 foot, we'll make them 3 foot, and we'll just tie in droppers at every 6 inches, right? So we can have 5, 6 droppers tied in, and we'll just tie our own flies. And a lot of these flies that they're using in these, like that little flashy material there, that's called Flashabou. I get that right off eBay. And they got this like pink stuff here, and you can get that with a UV glow. So you hit it with a LED flashlight. And it smells love glowing stuff, right? So we invented the Bear Proof Smelt Slayer, which was a smelt tree that was 3 feet long with 5 hooks. And we make it in a bunch of different sizes. So we make a single dropper, we make a double, a triple, a quad, and a 5 hook. And basically, we usually run like a Halley jig. I don't know if you're familiar with a Halley jig. It's like a small leg jig with a piece of jeweler's chain and a really small hook at the bottom.
No shit. Okay.
You just tip every one of those with a piece of bloodworm, and you'll literally catch 5, 6 smelts at a time on hook and line while you're sitting there jigging. You know?
Dude, I never heard of it. Like, honestly, I've never heard of people using sabiki rigs or. I mean, everybody, like in Michigan, all I ever heard of, and I've never done smelt personally. I've always wanted to, but everybody's going to the streams because they're coming up into the streams to spawn, and everybody's there with just long ass nets, dude, just scooping them up by the 1,000 bucketfuls, you know. And I'm like, okay, I'd love to do that, but who's gonna clean all them damn fish?
Right.
You know, it's like, gosh, that would be tedious.
Are they getting like decent size to them too, or are they like the
yeah, they're pretty much like you'd go to a store and buy them, you know, pretty.
Okay, so like a jack smelt.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what we're catching on the river a lot of times. I mean, we were catching smelts that were like 8-10 inches long, and like 6 of them at a time. We'd fill up that whole tree, you know. And
dude, that'd be so freaking awesome.
On a little, 24-inch ultralight jig rod. I mean, the whole rod's loaded up. It's like right over, and you're just reeling fish up left and right. We've got a video. It's probably about a 10-minute video where I'm literally just looking at the camera with a whole stringer of fish going. You really need to buy these Bear Proof Smelt Slayers, you know.
Is that on your TikTok page, or is it on YouTube or what?
I think it's on FB on my on my actual business page on FB.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check you out over there. Is it Bear Proof on there as well?
Yep, Bear Proof Outdoors. Yes.
All right, I'm gonna check you out on there. I'm gonna have to look you up.
We try to make it pretty easy for people to find us and figure us out. You know, how to get a hold of us and stuff. 'Cause we used FB forever just because of all the groups and stuff. You know, there's so many groups on there that make it really easy to advertise to and pick up a lot of work. You know, that's 90% of where my advertising was before TikTok. Now basically I only use TikTok to advertise. Next spring, like we're gonna get a lot of advertisement out there. It's just usually like a yearly thing. We'll invest into something new. And we just haven't dumped a lot of money into advertising in the last couple of years with my kidney stones and stuff. You know, wasn't really sure how hard I was going to be able to go, and kind of at that point again where it's like, you know what, just sitting around ain't living. You know.
Let me ask you something. I read somewhere that, and it probably holds true here as well, but it was Maine specifically because I was just trying to look up some things to talk about Maine, you know, that you're familiar with. But I heard, I'm not sure about hunting equipment, but specifically fishing equipment. Your guys' weather is rather harsh on fishing gear. What's your recommendation for people out there in Maine, or people that want to come to Maine, or just new to Maine, or new to fishing, as far as gear that holds up really well in the weather in Maine?
Oh, so like, yeah. If you're gonna fish Maine, the biggest thing, like a lot of the hardest part of Maine is like if you're near like the mid coast region, we've got just salt in the air, you know.
Yeah.
So like our vehicles just rust out like nothing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And your reels will stick, your line will stick if you're fishing brackish water. We go through a lot of trouble of washing everything down, you know, using WD-40 on a lot of stuff, a lot of reel parts and stuff. Usually we got to break stuff down at some point in the season and just go through everything and clean it out. It's really about maintenance, you know. You can run just about
maintenance over certain brands.
Yeah,
you would say
yeah.
you could pretty
For
much
sure.
go with anything. Just keep up on the maintenance of it.
Yep. Yeah, I'll run just about anything. There's a few that I don't like some of the loose spinning reels that I've picked up at some of the hardware stores and stuff like that. I don't know if it's just like a C grade, you know what I mean? Like, you know how like Abu Garcia makes like some really nice stuff, but Walmart
Yes,
like
exactly. Yeah.
they get the B grade version, not the A grade.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So like, I know Luz is a good brand. I've definitely fished with some of their stuff and thought, wow, this is really nice. But I've also had a lot of their reels, the spinning reels anyways. So like where the bail flips, a lot of times that will loosen up. Just little things.
Or over time, not go straight anymore. I've noticed that sometimes they'll kind of be at a little bit of an angle. They don't always close all the way after a certain period of time.
Right.
I've
And
noticed that too.
I'm a huge Penn advocate just because of the salt water that we've got here, you know, and Penn is such a good saltwater reel and rod. But even Penn, I've had a lot of Penns in my time just fail. And a lot of times it's maintenance. You just had, you know, it wasn't maintained properly. It wasn't clean. You know, you went out, fished hard, you know, and on nights when you're really into it and you're doing real good and you're getting a lot of fish, you're getting a lot of action, and you're worn out. I mean, dog tired when you're coming back in. I mean, a lot of times that's when you're like, oh, I'll take care of it tomorrow, you know? And it's always those nights, you know, there's enough of those nights that will pile up and they just deteriorate that gear, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's what I've found, because I've run just about everything. We've gone back and forth from buying expensive gear for our clients to fish with, buying cheap gear for clients to fish with, and it's kind of a mixed bag, you know? I mean, I use a lot of Mitchell gear now, Mitchell rods, Mitchell reels. I really like the Mitchells. For some reason, they're super solid reels, and I can fish with Mitchells in the salt and the fresh. Like, cause I'll take my crappie rig, I'll take my rod that I use specifically for crappie fishing, and I'll use that for squid fishing whenever we go squid fishing. And that's like one of the worst things I can do, because that's an ultralight reel made for fresh water, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm out there dipping that thing in the salt.
But that would actually be really fun with the squid too, though. You know, and you can, if you're not seeing them, because I know you use lights, you're shining the lights down there. But even if you drop down a little further, you're going to feel that real easy too. So that helps out a lot. Yep.
And that's like my father, he didn't understand crappie fishing at all, or why I got excited about crappie fishing. I think you had that picture where I had like 50 of them on the ice in front of me, and I was holding a nice pike. So that was our second trip to that same lake. And my very first time there, we put 122 of them on the ice, and it was my first time ever seeing anything like it, you know. And we show up to the pond. My buddy, who's now a Maine guide, he invited me to go crappie fishing. He said, "You ever done it?" I said, "No." What's the deal about catching sunfish? And he's like, "Oh, dude, they're just come down with us." And I'm like, you know. And we go down, and he's starting to drill a hole. And I'm like, "What's the plan here? Are we running traps, you know, or?" Because we're out on the ice. And he said, no traps. He says, it shouldn't take me long to find the fish. He drills a hole, sets the transducer down the hole, and he says, yeah, I can see one right there. And I'm like, Okay. He drops his jig down on top of it, bam, pulls out a 15-inch pie plate. And I'm like, what the heck, you know? I have an Eskimo pop-up shack, like one of the original Eskimo pop-ups, right? It's like the 4-man size.
Yep.
Takes 30 seconds to pop that thing up, right? In the amount of time that it took me to pop up my ice shack, he had 12 more fish laying on the ice.
Damn.
And I'm
just that one hole?
Yeah, just that one hole. And I'm
No
like,
shit.
what is this? You know, this is...
How
I've never
deep?
seen
How deep
this
was he
before.
fishing? Like what? Like what?
We were in a basin where it goes to like about 12 feet, and we're like fishing probably like 100 yards from shore, and it's just this point in this basin where the crappie move in for the pre-spawn staging ground. So they'll move into these like 10 to 12 foot areas in these basins before, like, it's usually like right around February and March when they move in.
Waiting for ice out.
Yep. And then they're ready to go right in for spawn. As soon as that water hits 58 degrees, they're in that 1.5 to 2 feet of water, you know, spawning everywhere. And I've never seen anything like it. So I go down and I fish. We catch 122 fish. I catch my first pike. First pike I caught was on a 24-inch ultralight jig rod with 4-pound test. It was a 27.5-inch pike that weighed like 4.5 pounds or something. So it wasn't a huge pike by any means, but on a 24-inch ultralight with a 4-pound test, that thing felt like a mole. So I'm thoroughly addicted to catching sunfish and alligators, you know, is what we were calling them that day, you know, because crappie is just they're part of the sunfish family.
Yeah.
And they're just such a unique fish, you know. And the whole time that I'm down there, you know, I'm fishing with a buddy of mine. None of us
Bass
were guys.
is a sunfish too.
Oh yeah. One of the guys there, he wasn't a guide. So Jared wasn't a guide. Brody was the only guide. And I'm picking his brain about the guiding industry the whole time. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, so how do we get into this? You know, you go to guide school. He's like, oh no, I took the test on my own. I was like, oh, how'd you do? He said, I failed. I said, oh, so, you know, tell me. And he's like, oh, it took me like 3 or 4 tries. I failed a bunch of times. And I'm like, so guide school's a good thing, huh? And he's like, oh yeah, I'd recommend that. And then I went to guide school. It cost me like $300 to go to guide school. And I remember feeling like the only thing I learned was CYA. Cover your ass. Out of a 3-day class where we're talking about all outdoor related stuff,
right?
Yeah, but we're just talking about all outdoor stuff, like the laws, the rules, what we can do as guides, what we can't do as guides. I knew everything that we covered. It was so bad. I was sitting at we had like a horseshoe desk set up, right? Like tables set up in a horseshoe with the teacher sitting in the top of the horseshoe, right? And I was all the way up top left of the teacher, right? So the teacher's here and I'm right next to him, basically. And it was so bad that I swear half the class thought I wasn't another student. I was one of the teachers. Because he would say something and I'd go, okay, guys, just also be aware that this, and this goes along with that. And he'd go, yeah, you're correct. Yeah, that's right. And it was like, I wasn't trying to show up the teacher or nothing, but it was like, I didn't want anyone to like not know about this stuff. Cause like, I was the only like real waterfowl hunter in the whole class, right? The rest of the guides, they were all bear guides, every single one of them. I'm the only guy in there that's going to be a turkey hunting guide, and
right.
And the rest of them are all bear guides, moose guides. You know what I mean? They'll do some deer hunt stuff like that, but bear guiding is their
Morty's in the house. Sorry, brother, my son just popped in, so I wanted to say hi to him real quick.
You're good.
One True Morty, how you doing, Asa? Sorry, go right ahead, brother.
So, I mean, the guide school class was good. I did learn a couple things. The parts for the map and compass test, that was a little different. Not many people are familiar with using like topographical maps and stuff like that. Yep. We have a lot of
very
a main atlas, you know, for most of the traveling around here. And when I took the test at that time, it was like the end of an era. So I was one of the last guides who got patched with the old testing system. right?
Oh, nice.
After I got tested, it wasn't very long after that they changed the testing system, and now they use GPS and the Atlas for the map and compass part of the test.
Oh, really?
And
Okay.
yeah. So it's kind of funny because like they really dumbed it down because technology has made it so much easier for us to find our way now than it used to be. You know,
Right.
we used to actually have to do some real woodsy stuff to
Yeah, exactly.
get around.
Pulling
And-
out, having maps with you or whatever, and
Yep. Oh, we got
Using
satellite
the-
imagery, you know?
Yeah,
We
exactly.
can tell exactly where we are, you know? We can
Yep.
download the maps and go into places where we've got no service and still use our GPS, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And there's no getting lost anymore, really.
Yeah, exactly. I know now, like, especially when we were in there, like, I don't too much anywhere else, but in Arizona, when I went out, because a lot of times, you know, we travel full time and we're in different parts of the country all the time. So, my wife, I just let my wife know this is where I'm going to be. This is what I'm going to be doing. But when I'm in Arizona, I'm out hunting. I'm going out into the mountains. I mean, we got bears, we got cougars, you got rattlesnakes. You know, you got, and just the mountains alone, regardless of what you're wearing, I mean, you have an opportunity of breaking a leg, spraining an ankle. There's just so many factors. So I always made sure I sent my wife the map where I'm going. This is where I'm parking. This is the path I'm taking. This is the area I'm hunting. You know, it's exactly 3/4 of a mile or a mile and a half or 3 miles. I'm going to be in this area. I'm going to make sure I don't come out of this area, you know, and she knows if I'm not there to pick her up from work, she immediately there's going to be a problem, you know.
Yep.
She don't call me and stuff because she knows I'm out there, you know, doing my thing. But I'm hiking. I got a 60, 70 pound pack on my back. I'm in the mountains by myself, you know, and so, you know, it's a good thing that we have that technology now. But at the same time, I miss the old school where, you know, like you said, you know, your compass, your map, you know, using the sun, you know, stuff like that, you know, the old school, you know,
Sorry,
stuff.
I got to bust Manly's chops here for a second. Always bring a
Go for
survival
it.
bag anytime he goes into the woods. A bag of Snickers does not count, Manly. I'm just saying. Just saying. You gotta have some flint and steel on there too, buddy.
Yeah, for sure. That's what's up. Uh-oh, what happened here? Oh, there you go. It froze up for a little bit there.
But actually, that is one thing that I always carry whenever I go into the woods when we deer hunting. Gotta have a banana. Oh my God, that was such a good one the other day. That was fun. Where did my permit go? Did you put it over there? So I got the chat the other day. I'm trying to come up with ideas on how to like troll my chat from time to time when I'm out there, you know?
Right.
Just some comic relief, you know? So I pulled out a banana the other day while I was bow hunting, and I ate that for my breakfast on stream, and I asked the chat, you know, do you guys eat bananas for the flavor or the shape? And I said, I eat them for the potassium. And then
I did that once. I wanted to see what everybody would say. I was in my kayak and I had 2 bananas sitting right in the view of the camera.
yeah,
You know, and I'm out there and I didn't say nothing about them. I didn't touch them. I didn't do nothing. I'm just out there doing my regular shit like they weren't even there.
yeah.
And then like 5 minutes in, here started the comments. You know, I thought it was going to be way sooner than that, honestly.
Yeah.
But like 5
for
minutes
real.
in, then one person says something, then another, and then it just went on from there. I was like, I did that on purpose. I just wanted to see how you guys would react and stuff like that. I said, I make my own luck here. I said, these are for my potassium. I got to have my banana.
Yeah, for real. No, and it's funny. It's funny. So the fishing and bananas. Do you know where that comes from, or
I do not.
why it's bad? So the reason why bananas are bad luck with fishing boats is because the banana boats that came back with the bananas all the time, there'd always be banana spiders in the bananas, and somebody on the boat would always end up getting bit by a banana spider and dying overnight right?
Oh shit! No shit.
So almost every banana boat voyage that came over with bananas, right? There's a dude in the bottom of the boat that would go to bed with everybody else and then wouldn't wake up in the morning. So people are like, bananas are bad luck on boats. Like, don't, right?
I never heard of that. I've always I didn't really wonder how that started. I just felt it, but yeah, wow, that is crazy.
Yeah.
That's
so the other one
is
is
how'd you find out about that?
ham sandwiches, right? I don't know if you've heard about ham sandwiches being bad luck. Lobstermen, if you show up on a lobster boat as a stern man to work for the day and you pull out a ham sandwich, you're lucky if they don't make you swim back.
Really? What's the story behind that one?
Pigs can't swim.
And that's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
Yeah,
that is
us Mainers are some superstitious people.
Okay,
have
that's the third time I heard you say that. So that's what Maine refers themselves to as Maynards.
Oh no, Mainers, maniacs. It's Maina. Maina. Yeah, we don't pronounce our R's. That's like a big thing here, you know.
Okay.
So it's
all right.
Instead of hard, it's had. You know, we're going out fishing on had water.
Like Saj, Sarge's wood designs. I follow him. He's always Saj. Saj.
Yeah, for like as a child, as I was like probably 12 years old before I found out that cord of wood was cord, not cod. I thought cord was COD, cod of wood.
Yeah.
That's what we needed to get through the winter. We needed 6 cods of wood. I had no idea. It was my father just didn't produce the R. It's supposed to be cord.
It was his accent. It was just
Cord of wood.
That's
4 feet
awesome.
high, 4 feet wide, 8 feet long. That's a cord. A cod is a fish from the ocean. I was holding one on that lobster boat.
That is awesome, dude. Hey, I'm learning something. I hope everybody else is here learning something. Let me ask you something. You guide moose and bear as well, or not?
So I outfit for bear. What I do is, if you're looking for a bear hunt, what I'll do is I'll get in touch with the best bear guides in the state, see who has availability and who can take you in and get you on a bear. I don't guide for them myself because of the cost, but to guide bear hunters, it's like you got to have 25 grand to start up. You know what I mean?
Oh, damn, no way.
Oh yeah. So first off, getting your bear sites is really hard here in Maine. Starting out as a bear guide, your first few years are going to suck. They're going to be bad because you're going to get the last lease sites available and they are going to be in the worst places. So like your first year, your bait leases that you're going to pay for aren't going to produce nothing. You're not going to harvest bears on them. You're not going to even hunt clients off of them. You're going to sit for 2 years leasing bait sites just to get your foot further in the door to get better sites.
So you got to kind of prepare to lose money, and if that's something that you're willing to do to get into it.
Yep. And like with the fishing, I almost failed the fishing test because I couldn't answer the questions about the cold water species. Like I knew certain stuff, but I didn't know like the best stuff that they wanted to know. And I kind of gave them some attitude back. I was like, you guys aren't even asking me what I'm using this license for, what I'm going to guide for, you know? How about you ask me what I'm going to guide for and then base the test off of that, you know?
Right, exactly.
Well, what are you going to guide for? I said, black crappie and pike. And that pissed them off. Because those are both invasive species, right? Those are not the species they want to advertise for here in Maine. And I'm like, my clients want to catch fish that they can stack up, all right? I can't bring a client out and catch 25, 30 brook trout for them to take home and put in their freezer. I can crappie. Yep. And it's not going to hurt the population at all. You're not going to be able to get rid of them. But now you got a person that's very happy with their day's pets, and now they've got some meat in the freezer. And because they're such a young fish, they grow so fast, they have less mercury in their system. Like you can eat more of these fish a year than you can some of our other species.
Yeah.
Because a decent sized brook trout, it takes them so long to get that size. They've soaked up more mercury than these crappie have, you know?
Yep.
Not only are they safer to eat, they're fun to catch. There's no limits on them. You know, it's like, and I told him, I said, you know, just I kind of gave him some attitude, and I'm like, you're not even asking me. I said, how about you tell me how you catch a crappie in the middle of the summer? I said, middle of August, tell me how you catch a 16-inch pie plate. You got 3 clients who want to go out and catch pie plates, 16-inch pie plates, not just little dinks. They want big ones. What are you gonna do? Tell me. That's what I thought. Okay, you're gonna take a 1/16 ounce jig. You're gonna drive out to the middle of the lake. You're gonna look for the deep hole. As soon as you find that deep hole, you're gonna start scanning around. Once you scan around, you're gonna find a hump. That hump is gonna be fish, and they're gonna be stacked one up on top of each other. Now, depending on the wind, you may have to use a drop shot. But a 1/16 ounce crappie jig with a 3/4, what was it, an inch and a half paddle tail. I mean, I just went off on them. I was spewing knowledge on them that they'd never even heard of. You know what I mean? And they're. It's like you guys are salmon, brook trout, and toad guys. You don't know nothing about these warm water species, and you don't even care about these warm water species. We have an amazing fishery here, and we're not going to have it if we continue to act like these are just invasives, you know?
Right, exactly. Yep. You got to use take advantage of the resources that are available out there. I mean, I mean that's a money in the bag right there. If there's not people out there doing that, and you're the one providing it, people are going to come out there. And
that's what I told them.
From all over the country coming to Maine. They know they can go here, go there, and catch crappie, but they want to see the beauty of Maine and get on some big slabs, and nobody's guiding but you are. And that's money in the bag right there, dude.
Oh yeah, and that's what I told him. I says no one else is targeting these fish, you know. I said what's going to work out for me is I'm a turkey guide. I spend most of my time guiding for turkeys. I got 1 month in the spring and 2 months in the fall that I can hunt birds, and that's my moneymaker. And the best part about the spring season is it lines right up with the crappie spawn. So the spawning season in the spring is perfectly timed with turkey hunting. I can literally do what we offer, blast and cast trips, where we go out, we hunt turkeys first thing in the morning. I will call a bird right off the roost while it's just barely legal light, right to the end of your barrel.
When that sucker's barely opening its damn eyes.
Oh, yeah. We'll make him smile for the flash. We'll take some pictures. Then we'll go back, load up the boat, and go out for crappie for the rest of the time.
Dude, that sounds like a freaking fun time right there.
Oh, dude. My clients absolutely love the blast and cast days. If they're not into the crappie, usually during the month of May, the state has been stocking trout all over the state, and they've acclimated to the rivers, and usually we can do some really awesome trout fishing too. I've had clients catch, what was it, Judy caught 35 brown trout and 25 brook trout in one morning on the river.
Shit.
Yeah,
damn.
just absolutely
That's a productive day.
Oh yeah.
All right, I got 8 minutes. I got 8 minutes left before dinner's done. Let me ask you this real quick. Let's talk techniques and tales from the deer stand.
Okay.
I know I've seen some really good pictures of your deer hunting success and stuff like that. So I want first of all just a few techniques. Let's talk scouting. Let's talk getting to your tree stand. Let's talk after the shot, tracking a deer down.
Right.
Explain that process a little bit.
So I've got one stand that we call the 8-point stand. It's a stand that's right out back of my place. It's located about 100 yards off of a dirt road. It's got a real nice path that we've cleaned up. Usually about bow season, I'll go in, I'll take a rake, and I'll rake out that path. So I got a real nice walking path. I can sneak right into that stand early. It's a box stand, so I've got it set up. It's got wooden walls. It's got a wooden ladder. It's got a ground blind on the top of it. And what I noticed immediately about doing that was having that cover around me. It immediately stopped my movement and some of my scent from getting out there, immediately. As soon as I had a ground blind up, I started seeing deer out of a tree stand like I'd never seen before. So I found out immediately, like, having cover around you in a tree stand is huge, you know what I mean? Because the deer figure out the tree stands really quick. If you're stubborn like me and like to put a tree stand up and never move it, that's your spot, you're going to keep hunting that spot because it's a good spot. The deer know, and they'll start working on the outside edges. So for that particular stand, the deer come from they're usually north of the stand. So I only hunt that stand if I've got a northwest or a northeast wind. Never hunted on any other wind. Out in front of the stand at 30 yards, we put in a small food plot. It's usually just a bag of throw and grow. And the turkeys usually mop it up before it really ever amounts to anything. But
Right.
because of the last like 6 years of doing that, we've got a lot of clover growing in there. We've added things like buckwheat and winter rye to that area too. And the winter rye is a crop that really holds deer in an area, especially later on in the season. It's a crop that they can forage on late. And it's one of those crops that really help hold deer. So we've put in a lot of work to that area. And basically what happens is now we use it as a doe yard. The does come in. We don't harvest any does out of that one area. And we get to see like 6, 7 does sometimes in one hunt and watch them mill about, watch them do their natural thing, and just hope for a buck to be chasing. And a lot of times we'll have bucks chasing. We haven't watched them chasing the does in that particular lot, but a lot of times when we harvest a buck, they're in there rubbing. We're right on they're between their bed and their feeding line. So they'll come in there, they'll rub, they'll scrape. We've got a horizontal rub that we've set up there. We usually get pictures of some fairly nice deer on that. If you're not familiar with a horizontal rub is you'll find a rub where a deer has stripped the bark off of the tree, rubbed his antlers on it. And what they're doing is they've got glands located next to their antlers, and they're making deposits with that. What we'll do is we'll find a good horizontal rub that's about like a good like 4 inches across. We'll cut it down. We'll cut about a 6-foot section of that, and we'll put it horizontally between 2 trees and tie it off. And now that's a spot that, you know, especially if it's an old annual rub where you've had a lot of deer using that over the years, it becomes a signpost right in your area. And if you use it like on your stand, it's just a spot for a deer to come up and interact with something and present
and keep them still for a moment.
Yeah, keep him still for a moment. He's going to interact with it. He's going to nuzzle it. He's going to nudge it, you know. And that offers you like one of your best shots, you know, having that animal stationary for just a couple seconds, you know. I hear people talk about like using hemp ropes with scent and stuff like that. The problem with that is deer get like little kickers on their antlers sometimes, and some of those hemp ropes I've seen too many videos with deer getting wrapped up in ropes and stuff. So I don't really care for the hemp rope. I'd rather run a horizontal rub any day of the week. Deer cane, that's another one that I've found to work really good. If you're having a hard time getting some deer in your area, or even
like
if you notice,
like the licks and stuff you're talking.
So it's I don't like using any of the solids because we can't use solids here. So like the deer cane that we use, it's a powder form, and you mix it up with a liquid, and then you can pour it out over the ground, and it basically.
And that's when they start digging in the ground and get the minerals and all that shit. Yeah.
And a lot of our deer, because we don't have some of the farming that we used to, like our area used to be very agricultural. The Amish have just moved into our area, so now it's really starting to become that way again. There's a lot more farming happening, but a lot of our deer are missing certain minerals to grow bigger racks. So putting stuff like that into your hunting spot, we've noticed is a huge thing. And as far as after the shot, you know, it's all about as soon as you pull the trigger, as soon as you punch that time card, you got to use your eyes and ears, right? Try to calm down immediately and relax immediately and just listen. If you lose sight of the animal, just listen. And a lot of times you'll hear them crash, you know. If you put a vital shot on an animal, they won't go far usually, right? You know? And I've seen some horror stories. I hit a deer with a number 4 buck from a 20 gauge, and right in the heart, number 4 buckshot. Deer went 1.5 miles.
Damn, no way.
Yep.
Yeah, what? Just one pellet hit it, or what?
One in the heart. She had more pellets in other places, but one in the heart, and it was pure adrenaline that went that far.
And they're fast, bro. They can go. For sure.
So like with archery, we have a 1 hour rule, bare minimum 1 hour before we even go in and look, and then it's very pokey and proddy. We're going in very slow, very steady. We're listening. We're paying attention as much as possible, and we're not going too far too fast, you know. And it's the same with during rifle season. But I mean, with rifle season, a lot of times you'll hear them crash, and 15 minutes, you're good.
Yeah.
When I was a cigarette smoker, it used to be real easy because I'd
exactly.
I'd have a smoke, and then I'd go check out my trail, and every single time I ever trailed one like that, I'd walk up and they'd be done.
Yeah.
But with bow hunting, it's a little different. You want to give them extra time. And almost every time I've done that too, like we give it an extra hour, give it an hour period, and they're stiff by the time we get to them. Like they were done in five minutes after the shot, So I absolutely love bow hunting as opposed to rifle season. Rifle season, it just gets crazy. The deer are still on their normal path. They're doing their normal stuff during archery season. So like that buck that you were clocking every day, going to that signpost, hitting that scrape, every 3 days he was showing up there, and it's like, oh yeah, next Saturday he's gonna be there. That's in October. When you hit November, they get into that full rut, and he'll be at my house. And
now they're at that 5 mile radius.
Yeah, 7 miles later, he'll be at the other end of my road, down at my buddy's house, checking out his does.
Yeah.
So, the rut gets crazy and it's a lot of fun, but I mean, I've gotten so crazy about bow season,
and I agree with you 100%. Like I love both seasons. I love the archery season the most, just like you said. And I tell people, you don't have to jump out of a plane to get an adrenaline rush. You want an adrenaline rush? Set up a tree stand, put a bow in your hand, and try to shoot a deer.
Oh yeah,
I don't care if it's a doe or a buck. Your heart's going to jump out of your chest. Everything has to be perfect.
Yep.
It's so amazing. Gun hunting, yeah, I love gun hunting. It's great. It's fun, but it ends so quickly. Yep. It ends so fast. You're out there opening morning, and there's been times on opening day, like you guys, you had that day that you guys had with your family. I had one of those days in Saranac when I was hunting with my brother-in-law. I was out there. I shot 3 deer in 7 minutes with my shotgun, and it was 2 bucks and 1 doe, and I only knew there was a doe coming because my brother-in-law texted me, a doe's coming your way. Well, he didn't see the 2 bucks that were following her. Well, I shot her, and she pounced, ran probably 15 yards, and then dropped. Well, here comes a little 4-point following her trail. And I was like, oh, shit, there's a 4-point. Boom, I shot him, and he ran further and dropped, but he still dropped within sight. Yeah. And then an 8-point was, dude, like literally, I was shooting guns, bro, and these deer did not freaking care. They were following that hot doe.
Yep.
And he came in the same exact spot where I shot that 4-point, I shot that 8-point. Boom. And he dropped right there, right freaking there. And I was like, what the heck, dude? I was like, I couldn't believe it. It was amazing. But it happened so fast, dude. Like you're out there gun hunting, you're out there for the morning, the light comes, the deer comes, boom, you shoot, your hunt's over. Bow hunting, you're out there, you see the deer coming. Yeah. They, for some reason, they don't even have to smell you. They feel something wrong, and you can tell, and they'll still do their path, but they're going to do it outside. You know what I mean? They have that tuition, and so now you got to figure something else out. You're coming back the next day or a week later, and it's just so much more exciting, man. That bow hunt, it's more personal. Everything has to work out perfect.
Well, like that picture of the double that I sent you there, I had 2 does. I was laying down, that selfie with 2 does.
I love that picture too.
That's the same thing. I mean, that stand, I use my sticks. I go up this one pine tree on this piece of family land, and I've got probably 250 yards that I can look straight out, and it's just a big giant meadow, and the deer will go out in that meadow and they'll lay down. So I'll go in there a little later morning, climb up in the tree, and then just wait for them to stand up and shift in their beds, and it's, 1 minute you're sitting there doing nothing, the next minute, it's all hands on deck, bang, 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 they're down across the meadows, and it's all over with. But that meadow that day, that was a really fun hunt because my buddy and we'd never hunted out of saddles before. It was our first saddle hunt, so we just got up there. he actually left the video camera. He was supposed to be my cameraman. He left the camera on the ground, like on the very first set of sticks on the bottom. And we're sitting up there looking down at the camera.
Like shit.
You had one job, dude. Sure enough, we're up there in the tree for like a half hour, and one of those does stood up. And I'm just like, oh man, the Marlin 336 came to my shoulder. I went to work, and she literally dropped 10 feet from the tree that we're sitting with, you know? And I'm just like, oh my God, dude, that was nuts, you know? And then all of a sudden the next one stood up, and it was like, oh, I'm still on the time card. Let's go.
That's insane. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love hunting like that. Like, you know, the meadows like that. That's probably one of my favorite ways to hunt. They get out there in those beaver runs. Deer float real nice. You know, it's like I'll have a pair of waders and I'll get right out there in the meadow grass and I get in one of those beaver runs and just drag them all the way back to shore in that run, you know. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun stuff because like I'll be in that beaver run and the grass is like up over my head, you know, way up over my head, and no one can see me walking, and I'm dragging a deer along, floating that deer along through the beaver run, you know, just giggling out there. And it's like a big bowl, so people can just hear me giggling out there like a little kid in the middle of this swamp. So I always get such a kick out of it.
That's hilarious.
I fell in love with this spot.
I got a question for you, Nikki.
Sure.
I know the conditions in Maine are very harsh and everything, and I'm an advocate for women being out in the outdoors hunting and fishing. With how do you feel the diversity in the outdoors with women hunters and fisher ladies out there? Do you think it's something that could be better, or do you think it's improving, or what's your take on that?
I think it's improving. There's a lot more women out there getting into it.
Even with the treacherous conditions that you guys have out there with the fall and winters coming out, you're noticing a lot more women getting out there and getting involved with the outdoors.
Yep.
Do you think that more women are participating, or do you think you're seeing more because of social media, or what do you think?
A little bit of both, I think.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that too.
Because you've got women hunters groups out there.
Yeah, Maine actually has a specific group on FB that is called Maine Women Hunters, and it's a huge group. There's a really great guide. Her name is Christy Elliott. And I don't know if she runs a particular guide service. Like, I know she's the main guide, but I don't know if she has like her own service. I don't know her service name. But she runs the Maine Women's Hunter Group, and what she does is she sets up all these hunts, like group hunts for these women that met each other through the hunts, you know. And some of them they've met through other guides. Oh yeah, and that's actually where I've gotten a lot of my clients from, is the Maine Women Hunters Group. When word got around that I was a educator guide, like I spend more time teaching you about what we're doing out there than actually like really putting in the work. I mean, we're putting in the work while we're doing it, but I'm taking the time to explain to you like, okay, so this buck made this rub here, all right? If we look in this direction or in this area, we should find more sign, you know? And explaining like how we're hunting that scrape line or that rub line, you know, or what we're doing there, or with the fishing, you know, I take a lot of time to teach the methods of jigging crappie, fly fishing for trout. We do a ton of stuff with our clients. And since the pandemic, there's been a lot of women in Maine that just like open themselves up to the outdoors. You know what I mean? Because they got locked inside, couldn't do stuff. Everybody started looking outwards to our woods and our waters and going, I've lived here my whole life, but I've never experienced this, you know? And a lot of my clients were actually like females from the Maine Women Hunters Group, anywhere from my age, like mid-30s, all the way up to early 70s. Like how old was Joan? 84?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guided an
84.
84-year-old woman for a turkey hunt. She'd never harvested a turkey, never hunted turkeys. Been a deer hunter her whole life. And we set up a really nice hunt for her. We used our Baronet Beast blind. It's one of the biggest blinds that Baronet makes. It's a double wide shot. And we set that up. I set up a turkey decoy. I use avian turkey decoys. I have a lay-down hen and a 3/4 strut tom. You put the lay-down hen down. You put the 3/4 strut tom right on top of her. So they're basically like that. And the gobblers come out. A mature tom cannot handle looking at a 3/4 strut and Jake on top of a lay-down hen. And they'll run right up and they'll beat the living daylights out of that decoy. And I got a beautiful video of that bird smacking the decoy. He turns around, squares back up to the blind, and she folded him. It was a perfect shot.
That is
the other Tom had no idea what had
great
happened.
just to hear an 84-year-old woman out there. You know, that's probably something she's always dreamt of doing and decided, hey, why not now?
Yep. And my uncle, he lost a leg due to diabetes a couple years ago, and we're still getting him out there hunting. He actually just shot his first buck with a crossbow this season. He shot a 7-point buck. That was about a 180-pound buck, 7 points.
Nice.
And, so that's a big part of our service is not just taking out people that can, but getting out people that can't. You know, people with disabilities and stuff like that.
Exactly.
She's a CNA. So like we know a lot of people that got family that are getting up there in age. They might want to do one last trip for them or something like that. We're that guide service that can make that happen.
That is awesome. That is amazing. Man, that's good. Hey, we got 11 beautiful people up in here. Why don't you tell everybody where they can follow you? Where we're at the end of it, so mention Facebook, mention Instagram, mention Lemonade. Wherever you're on, man, let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, we're on everything. If you look up Bear Proof Outdoors, you can find us just about everywhere. If you look up Aaron Hodgkins, I'm pretty well known. We get around pretty easy. Aaron David Hodgkins, to be specific. If you want to find me on any streaming service, any platform, I've got a couple YT channels, Bear Proof Outdoors and Aaron David Hodgkins on YT. Pushing almost 400 followers on the Aaron Hodgkins channel. I haven't done videos there in a long time. That was a lot of stuff that I did when my kids.
Kind of hard to keep up with everything that's, you know what I mean, just spreading everything out. It is very hard. I understand that. I'm the same way.
Yeah, we've shifted focus on like what we've been doing several different times. We started out building turkey calls. Can you grab that metal?
Amazing.
So, and you got a turkey call there? Oh yeah, one on the bar. Or the press, even. You got the whole press.
I am the pickle. Said I've never been hunting. You got to get out there and try it out.
So, right there's the 5th place World Championship Buckeye medal that we got. We took 5th place.
Hell yeah!
Tournament. And that was for building these cheap little mouth galls, you know, the diaphragm mouth galls.
That's awesome.
She's not quite broken in. I know.
Man, I so miss turkey hunting. Bayou Susan's in the house. That's what's up.
Yeah, so we build these right in house. You know, my father, he got me into building them. He's been building turkey calls for like 15 years. I've helped him in his shop. He's won all kinds of medals. So when the Buckeye tournament started doing the world championships out there in Ohio, he told me, he says, you got to get into it. You got to send out some calls. And I did. We took 5th place that year, mainly because Shane Simpson didn't get his calls in on time. Like, we all send our calls out and hope they'll get there, but you know how the Postal Service can be. And, for some reason, Shane he's a world champion, right? I mean, I know for a fact I wouldn't have placed 5th if he'd have been there that year, because another guy would have placed, you know, and I'd have been probably dead last in that situation. But I felt like God gave me that opportunity. He sent his calls somewhere else, and they didn't make it to the tournament on time. So I ended up getting that fifth place. And he
Hey,
would've
Joni,
taken
my
the
wife
place.
says hello. Joni V, my wife, says hello. Everybody else, my wife says hello. Nikki, my wife said hello. Bear Proof, my wife said
Hello.
hello. Aaron. But hey, man, it was awesome talking to you guys. I wish we had more time, but it's getting late. I appreciate you guys joining me here. I'm gonna follow you on Facebook and everywhere else. I'm gonna look you up on all of those. If you guys are not following Bear Proof Guide, you guys have to follow them. Nikki's out there with them. They are very interactive with everybody when they're on their lives. They do hunting lives and fishing lives. So check them out. Make sure you're following if you're not. And I appreciate each and every one of you for joining. Thank you guys for being a part of this. I appreciate you guys. I'm gonna be following you guys as I always do. You know, I'm jumping in there. You guys are great. So thank you very much, man. And hopefully we can do this again.
Yes, sir. Anytime.
Hey, have a good one, man. You guys have a great night. Be safe and take care.
You as well, brother. Have a good
Have
one.
a good one. Take care. Bye bye.
Later.